seen at the top of the show he's going to be an All-American this year, but obviously people realize he's just a sophomore, and I think he has the potential certainly to be one, as does Ellison. Pearl Washington has to be smiling when he sees that man-to-man. He's normally looking at his zone. Louisville switches at every occasion.
Trish is 25, handling the ball, giving it up to Addison. This is the Pearl.
Nice defense by Milt Wagner.
Inside to Cycley, who on the fake travel.
Syracuse looking to go inside to Ronnie Cycley at every opportunity. I think early in the game it's going to be interesting to see if the Pearl tries to do some one-on-one movement. See if he just tries to take over the ball game early. It's something he has not shown this year, but I have seen him do it in the past.
Wagner brought it up. This is Thompson getting inside to Cook. Taps it back in.
We talked about those role players. Herbert Cook certainly giving Denny Crum great stats this year playing in that forward position.
Now here's that zone press, that 2-2-1 of Louisville. And we'll see how Syracuse handles the pressure. The other night against Georgetown, the Hoyas pretty much dropped back and played a half-court defense against Boeheim. Alexis slipping, misfiring. Here comes Wagner at the other end.
Good job by Milt Wagner to occupy the space. He looked right at Pearl and kept right on going. Pearl couldn't get over in time to draw the charge.
Louisville jumps ahead by 2 buckets. Hall jumps out on Trish and almost stole it. Washington. Wagner. Hall is open. It's 3 quick hoops.
Now there was a chance for Pearl Washington. Took his shot and did not go back on defense. He stood there and waited for the game to go by. Hall wisely went the length of the floor.
Jim Boeheim called a timeout, Billy, and as he brought the Pearl over, he was telling them just that. You've got to drop back on defense. We've got a timeout. It's 6-0. Louisville ahead of Syracuse. We'll be right back.
You know, I don't like being disappointed. Why, one time we lost a big game and I felt so bad, I sawed my car in half. That's why they call me Hacksaw. But now I take it easy and I drink light beer from Miller.
Well, Billy, here's what you were talking about.
Well, you're going to see Pearl Washington take the jump shot. Then he gets caught in no man's land. He doesn't go in for the rebound, nor does he go back on defense. Jeff Hall, sensing nobody back on defense, just breaks long. Bad court balance by Syracuse. Easy layup for Louisville.
Ready to go, and Louisville sets up with that 2-2-1. Wagner and Cook in the backcourt. The Pearl dribbles up against it.
Good job on Milt Wagner.
Alexis has got it.
Ooh, nice ball.
First field goal for Syracuse.
You know, Wendell Alexis was a spot player all his career. He's had great stats, but never really a starter. Now he's moving himself into an NBA-type position. Zone defense now. Back in there by Syracuse. Going to make Louisville put up an outsider. With Wagner and Hall, you've got 2 great jump shooters.
Wagner loses control. Hall gets it back for Louisville. Here's Wagner.
Pretty difficult to play that zone consistently with those type of shooters from the outside.
Washington moved quickly to the attack on this sequence. Washington cut off and swung back on Wagner with a nice move.
I'm sure that's what Jim Boeheim wants. You know, there's no reason against man-to-man for Pearl to be talking about scoring 11 a game. He needs to be one of those guys that can threaten to score 25 a game.
Louisville is working on a run of 4 straight field goals. Ellison, and they finally miss. Washington coming down on the break.
Lost the handle.
And that'll be a traveling violation, the second one, and it should have been an easy field goal for Syracuse. They trail 8-4.
Pearl Washington lost the handle on that bounce pass. He's had 117 assists this year and only 40 turnovers, which is much better than he had last year, but he did lose the handle on that dribble.
Boeheim is not happy with how his team has played here so far in the early going of this game. Thompson passes back to the Cook, who stole it from Addison. Battling underneath, and it'll be a jump ball, and the possession arrow, it remains with Louisville.
Excellent call by the official, but you can see how active Purvis Ellison was. He touched that ball about 3 or 4 times on that rebound occasion.
Too much of a high arc. Good defense on the play. Syracuse comes back.
Great move.
Pearl moves inside and draws the foul.
Milt Wagner's still looking for him. And that's what I was talking about, Brent. Here's a fellow that has the ability to penetrate and have the super game. Maybe one of the great games he ever had was against Georgetown in the Big East Final a couple of years ago. He's so powerfully built. And it seems to me that lately he's just been playing a nonchalant-type basketball game. But there you saw a good move on the inside.
And it was significant because it drew the second foul from Purvis Ellison. So we will have our first substitute for Louisville shortly, and Mark McSwain, number 10, will check in. Here comes Wagner.
Good defense by Ron Cycli.
Ellison got the ball out of bounds on the far side. Here's McSwain, and Ellison will sit down.
Now we're going to see Syracuse really try to go inside because McSwain's so much smaller.
On the turnover, Cycli gives to Washington, who collides with Cook, and an offensive foul is called on the Pearl.
A lot of fans don't understand that particular call. You do not have to give time and distance to the dribbler. So once Pearl gets the ball right here, as the dribbler, it's his responsibility to get out of the way of the defense. If he had been in a screening situation without the ball, then the defense has to give him time and distance.
Louisville having a tough time getting the ball inside. McSwain gets it to Thompson, and that time they were able to swing it to an open man.
Good weak side cut by Billy Thompson. Wendell Alexis had to beat him to the spot. There's Pearl. He's getting ready for this man.
One-on-one. Thompson. Quickly, it's 3-on-1. Louisville. Here's Hall. Great play by Milt Wagner.
Now, Pearl Washington, though, is looking to penetrate, and I'm sure that Jim Boeheim likes that. Good interception.
Well, they come again, and it's off of Cook's foot. He looked over to Wagner on the other side and dribbled the ball off his foot for a turnover. It'll go to Syracuse. They trail Denny Crum and Louisville 12-5.
They'll settle back down to man-to-man. Good move.
Cycli.
There's the problem Louisville's going to have, Brent, is Cycli just has an awful lot more size than Louisville has on the floor now with Purvis Ellison out of there.
Ellison picks up 2 quick fouls, and that's why he's out of the game right now. He's also playing with a couple of injuries. Knocked away quickly by Alexis and out of bounds.
Maybe one pass too many by Milt Wagner trying to go around the horn. Got a lot of size out there for Syracuse. When you move Raphael Addison at 6'7" and very active out to the top in that zone, very difficult to rotate the ball.
Syracuse also has to get Addison into its offense. On the turnover, it'll go to the Orangemen. Louisville quickly sets up that 2-2-1. Wait, they're going to give the ball to Louisville.
Jim Boeheim a little upset with it in the corner.
I can understand why. Jeff Hall.
Seems right now everybody going up for those rebounds in a leaping situation instead of blocking out. Jim Boeheim still hot about that last call. Here's how Washington uses that free arm.
Alley-oop. And as Addison came through, he was fouled by McSwain, his first.
Now we have both coaches working those sidelines pretty well. Nobody wanting to get an advantage here. Here goes the lob pass. Hard to lob against Louisville. They have good leapers also. And with the body coming in there is McSwain. I thought it was a pretty fair call. Denny Crum saying that's a free ball. Notice how Louisville switches at all occasions. Sometimes they get caught in mismatches. Have Addison with Hall right now. Good help.
Wagner couldn't come up with it, and there's a foul.
Milt Wagner's 6'5", so he can almost switch off on anybody, whether it be a forward or a guard. Look for Louisville to go down the middle a little bit, Brent. They keep throwing the ball on the wing. Somebody break up in the middle, they'll have it. There it is. Good play.
Quickly to Thompson. He was fouled. Twitch. Thompson will come to the line. A chance for a three-pointer here and freedom all.
In the 2-3 zone like that, Brent, if you break a man to the middle on top of Ronnie Cycli, you get that ball down in deep. Then when the zone collapses, get it right back out. It's a real good play by Louisville. They saw the opening and took advantage of it. And Brent, you made a good point in the fact that it's time for Raphael Addison to somehow get in the offensive flow for Syracuse. They really haven't gotten him in it so far. And back to the 2-2-1 full court press. Kind of soft so far in the game. Waiting for Syracuse to make a mistake.
Here's Addison. Now that's the spot that he enjoyed as a forward. He has to maneuver for that position coming out of the backcourt. That changes his offense a little bit, but he's still averaging over 17 points a game. He's on the board to make it 15-9.
Sure, Jimmy Boeheim did not want to have to play man-to-man, but his team may have to go man-to-man just to shake some things up defensively. They're kind of lethargic sitting back there, and Louisville picking them apart. Monroe in the game, a real good shooter.
Number 11 with the ball. Stolen by Hall. Great, and Addison hustles after it, but Thompson's got it.
Louisville just out-strapping Syracuse right now. Tough shot. Jump ball. Louisville. And here was one of our unsung players. Here's the play with Hall. Great hustle. Both teams. Addison just can't get the ball. Billy Thompson goes down and gets the stump. Post play coming up. Moving into the high post, Ronnie Cycli pins his man. Good dump on the inside. Alexis to Cycli. So far, Brent, what's happened to Syracuse? They're spending time trying to concentrate how to beat the 2-2-1 press. Then they get down and really have gotten out of their half-court offense. Some changes made on the floor again. Jimmy Boeheim trying to get some kind of combination that can work.
Washington has it swatted away by McSwain. Here's Wagner. There are a lot of NBA scouts in attendance here this afternoon, and Milt Wagner is putting on a show for them. He got a hand on the ball, but he fouled Monroe. So a lot of folks came to the arena thinking about the Pearl, Dwayne Washington, but right now they are focused in on Mr. Wagner, number 20.
Well, it's surprising to me, as an experienced club as Syracuse is, Brent, they really seem to be frustrated now in the fact that almost to the point where they looked at Louisville as if they weren't going to be a competitive club. I mean, Louisville's an outstanding team. Syracuse shouldn't be surprised with Louisville's ability.
Addison off the fake. And a foul inside. And that is number 1 on Cycli. So I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer. And a reminder that near the conclusion of today's NCAA game, Billy and I will select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each team. And Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. Louisville has built an early lead on Syracuse. It is 21-9. Syracuse coming off its first loss of the season. And Louisville taking a 2-1 road trip. And a traveling call on the turnover.
Some hands by Billy Cochran coming across the lane. That ball was poorly thrown. He's still able to pick it off. Did turn it over, however. Kimbrough in the ball game now. Makes no difference. Kenny Crum can bring in a lot of good size. Have you ever seen Syracuse so frustrated? We're talking about a top-flight basketball team. Everybody looking at each other like, hey, what's going on here?
10:50 to go in the first half. Louisville 21, Syracuse 9.
And back in that zone, I think they're making it easy for Louisville. Louisville just picking them apart.
Here's Milt Wagner again.
They got to be thinking man-to-man here pretty soon.
Wagner is 5 of 5 against that zone. Addison.
Good quick jump shot.
Wagner cut off, sends it back outside, across the timeline and out of bounds. It'll go over to the Orangemen. Jim Boeheim signaling the play. Georgetown beating back a Seton Hall effort this afternoon. Seton Hall was ahead late in that game. Double overtime. Metro Conference game, and Cincinnati a winner. Monroe with that left-handed jump shot. McSwain rebounding. Here's Hall. And the Cardinals are doing this without Purvis Ellison, remember. Wagner has had a hot hand, and it continues. He is 6 of 6 here.
Well, we said some star will rise to the occasion in a game of this magnitude, and it looks like Milt Wagner wants to be the guy. He started out very slow this year. He's got it rolling now.
Kimbrough fouled Alexis, and that is the freshman's first person. 15 foul. I'm not sure that that's right. Wasn't I told?
No, it's reversed. Yeah, North Carolina
won that game.
95-92.
And Steve Hale scored 28 points, a career high for the Tar Heels. So North Carolina defeated Duke this afternoon. We'll get that score corrected for you and give it to you the right way momentarily.
Dean Smith talks about Steve Hale. He says he's just a basketball player. Forget the position.
Inside to Walker.
Good power player. Out of Baltimore. And he's a guy that Jimmy Boeheim knows has to come to the front. Because Syracuse is going to have enough depth in the power position.
6'9". Freshman who just scored that field goal for Dennis.
Good ball.
No basket.
Going to be on Walker trying to bust through the screen. Double screen was set on him for a specific shooter, and that was Hall from the outside. You can see Walker is a horse.
There it is. North Carolina 95 and Duke 92 this afternoon.
It's interesting how the shot clock changes the score of the games against the top teams. They really go after each other now.
Wagner to Ellison will return with the two personals. Misfires as Walker pulled one down. He was fouled. And that is the third on young Mr. Ellison, number 43.
Got to come right back out. He missed that patented jumper of his from the top of the key. Really upset with himself. But those are the things that happen to freshmen, Brent. You know, you're never sure from game to game what might happen.
Billy, the key question here, coming into this game, how would Syracuse react after losing that tough game? They have not played well in the early going.
They really have not. They've gotten out of their offense. They should be a team that likes to play against the man-to-man, but so far they haven't been able to get into it.
Walker Walker.
Trying to do a little too much, maybe.
Alexis with an offensive rebound and a hoop.
So with this club on the floor, you'd believe Syracuse could go inside.
Kimbrough.
Another one of Denny Crumb's outstanding freshmen.
Addison from the corner. Addison with 6 points for the game. Washington with 3. Alexis with 4.
See Pearl Washington coming out now. The zone getting a lot more aggressive. But if you extend yourself that far out, it means somebody's going to be wide open in behind you in the middle. And there he is, Brooks. You cannot extend that far out to stop a guy like Milt Wagner 30 feet from the basket and let the foul lane wide open. Kimbrough's got the size to stay away from Pearl Washington and still be effective.
Addison missing. Milt Wagner back out with the rebound. Kimbrough.
Time for another Syracuse timeout. They've got to stop this momentum somehow. Super job by Louisville.
Jeff Hall was fronting cycling. Washington took it in, missed it. It goes out of bounds. It'll stay in the possession of the Orangemen. Monroe returning for Boeheim, and Addison sits down. We've got a timeout. Of course, our NCAA game. They handled Duke today. Good, tough game, and now they must travel into Milwaukee and take on the Marquette Warriors. Those two schools have not met since Marquette captured its national championship in 1977.
Got Douglas in, Pearl Washington out.
Washington this afternoon is 1 of 5 and has not been credited with a single assist yet by the official score.
There was a case of Crook just grabbing Douglas on the arm. Pearl Washington sitting down, getting a little talking to from Jim Boeheim.
Jim told us before the game started that the Pearl was playing at a consistent level, but he had not elevated his game to the point where he felt he had to before the year was over.
It's a tough thing. Last year he tried to calm the Pearl down a little bit. This year he's trying to get him going a little bit. The Pearl has to go ahead and, as you mentioned, Brent, elevate that game. A game like today, you're counting on Pearl to be a 25-point per game score, not an 11-point per game score. Set play.
In low, miss. Kept alive by Crook and scored.
Herbert Crook is getting so many key rebounds for Louisville. He battles on the inside. Doesn't look like he'd be a power player, but gets the job done.
Can you believe, Billy, the way Louisville has handled these guys? It's 33-19 with 6:28 to go in the first half. They're making it look easy.
They really are, and they're getting second shots on the inside. You've got Syracuse, a team playing the zone. Got all their big people in there, and they can't stop them. You got Brower and Walker in the game now. They got a lot of power inside for Syracuse, at least both.
Brower, Monroe, Alexis, Walker, and Douglas. That's the lineup on the floor for Coach Jim Boeheim at this moment.
Syracuse trying to panic with their offense. There's still 20 seconds to go on the shot clock. Good job by Monroe to pull things out.
Alexis. No basket.
Push off.
And the foul is going to go against Brower. That's his first.
Jim Boeheim's quite a competitor. He does not want to see his club obviously behind at any time. But I think today he was geared for this ball game. And his club has not responded.
He's going to send Washington back into the lineup. They go back door to Thompson, misfire.
Kind of surprised to see Milt make that play. It really wasn't there. He kind of forced it. Denny Crum didn't like it.
Loose. Here's Thompson again, and on the dribble as he crossed over, he was fouled by Douglas.
Thompson trying to make that move around Douglas. Douglas caught him with the reach in, but Billy Thompson can handle that ball in the open court area. He's really pumped himself up. He works on that iron. Hamden High School product.
Syracuse cannot turn to Michael Brown on the bench either. He quit the team earlier in the week. Coach Boeheim telling us that a couple of schools, LSU and Alabama, had spoken to Syracuse about Brown's transfer there, and no one else has as yet. There are a lot of rumors and speculation about where he might wind up.
Brennan, a game like today, though, it's tough man-to-man. Brown primarily a shooter against his zone. Louisville going out and picking up man-to-man as they always do, and they've really taken Syracuse out of their offense.
Douglas coming out of the corner.
Really good man-to-man defense by Louisville. Super job. Switching at all occasions, and again, Paul turns it over.
Wagner. And he stays perfect. 7 of 7 for Milt Wagner. Steals it from behind.
Timeout, Syracuse.
No shot. He was fouled as he began his assault out by the free throw line, and Jim Boeheim and Syracuse being run right off the floor here at Freedom Hall.
Jim, in the case of Jimmy Boeheim, this game, Brent, is getting to the point now, down 16, got a chance to make it higher, where you got to just call some timeout, slow this baby down. Take away this momentum Louisville has. You know how hot that locker room is going to be. Jimmy can get as hot as anybody in the game. And what Syracuse is trying to do offensively is get everything back on one shot. They still have a lot of time to play in this game. They've got the 45-second shot clock. They've got to get back into their offense a little bit. Louisville doing a good job shutting it off.
So on the floor for Syracuse, Cycli, Addison, Washington, Monroe, Alexis.
Milt Wagner shooting under 50%, and he has shot very well the last 3 games. So you can see what he was doing early in the year. Just a matter of getting his game legs back and getting used to playing again. That year layoff really hurt him. He's having a career this first half. Every time Pearl beats his man, he sees the trees underneath.
Pearl.
He's used to being able to make that shot. Louisville gets all the hands up.
This is Kimbrough, the freshman, getting it to Crook. Oh, they're loving it here in Louisville this afternoon. Washington.
Showed a little range on a jumper. And Denny Crum telling his club to settle it down. It's interesting, his philosophy. He forces you to go full tempo when he's on defense, but then he takes it nice and easy when he's on offense.
And they work it back and it's Swain.
Like a clinic. Considering the competition, this is one of the best performances of the year by a quality team. Ronnie Cycli hadn't touched the ball.
And Addison hustles to save it. Washington, and he was also fouled by Kimbrough. A chance for a three-pointer. Ball and Rodney Walker will check back in.
Here we see Pearl Washington low to the ground, gets the good bounce step on the inside, picks up the foul. He's so powerful when he takes it in there, but so far today he hasn't been able to get much off.
That applause you heard was from Milt Wagner, who will take his first break here in the first half. With 2:53 to go, we've got a timeout. The Louisville Cardinals.
Well, they're at 6'5", can throw over, trapping guard. Goes to Crook, right back to McSwain, who cuts to the basket and jams it on home. Perfect execution by Louisville. That's exactly what Denny Crum called Milt Wagner to do. Pull it back out and spread that defense.
Now, turnovers so far in the first half. Syracuse has turned it over 9 times, and Louisville has turned those 9 turnovers into 15 points. Louisville has turned it over only 5 times, and Syracuse has been able to convert only 3 points off those turnovers. Backcourt scoring, Hall with the ball, and Wagner, they've hit 9 of 10 from the field. McSwain gets it back.
Good hands by McSwain. Even with Walker on him, who's strong, was able to pull it away. Now they're starting to trap a little bit in the zone.
McSwain missing, but did everything but stay down. Here's Walker. Alexis.
Now Jimmy Boeheim going a little smaller team with Monroe and Washington in the backcourt. They're trying to trap out here in this zone, put a little pressure on.
Washington tripping Hall as he came across the half-court line. That is the Pearl's second personal foul.
Jeff Hall, excellent free throw shooter. Doesn't go to the line often for the simple reason he's shooting out on the perimeter most of the time, but he's shooting right at 90% this year.
He hasn't lived up to his star billing, has he, Pearl?
Well, you know, Brent, I think that the court has been out for a year. He gets an awful lot of hype, and I think it's a matter of has his performance. I know I've been criticized for saying I think there are maybe 9 or 10 guards in the country at his position there that have played better than he has. He has the great hype. He does have potential, but this thing in in this world, you've got to do it every day on the court. And he may be under a lot of pressure, expecting to be expected to do so much.
Swings inside that time, and there's the Pearl Washington.
That was vintage Pearl right there. And back to man-to-man. This is something I thought Syracuse would do a little earlier. Try to get their club with some momentum. 5 seconds.
They force a turnover with it. Monroe out on Milt Wagner.
Good timeout by Denny Crum. He sees the change in the defense. He does not want his team to lose their concentration with a real nice working margin here. You don't want to blow that lead in a minute and 49 seconds. You're not going to blow it all, but you don't want that momentum to change.
We'll be right back in Louisville in a moment. Well, we want to send along our best wishes to Denny Crum's wife, Joyce, who I'm sure is watching as she is recovering from a Louisville hospital. She underwent surgery yesterday, and the coach telling us this morning that she rested comfortably throughout the night. He had to leave practice a little bit early yesterday. I know he was very concerned, and I know that Joyce has to be happy at the way her husband's basketball team is playing here this afternoon.
Pretty good medicine for anybody.
Washington for the attack.
Pearl starting to look for it, isn't he?
Ball brings it down. Payne fouled by Alexis.
You saw Payne, even though that shot won't count, that great release on his jump shot. One of the best-looking pure shooters that's come along in a while. And again, another one of those freshmen for Denny Crum that see a lot of playing time.
Kenny Payne, someone told me, is an Olympic marksman who's learning how to hunt.
Good statement. You see a picture-perfect release that he has on his shot.
Howard Frisch, a starter, and returning to the lineup for Coach Boeheim. With 1:16 to go, it's 43-28. At the half, we'll talk a little bit about that 45-second shot clock.
Was shooting 90%, missed that one, but with that type of technique, you can expect him to be up there as a classic shooter throughout his career.
That's the first foul on Billy Thompson this afternoon. You mentioned the 45-second shot clock. Now, Coach Boeheim has to like that because he knows that Louisville cannot take the air out of the ball early in the second half of this game. With a 43-28 lead, they're going to have to continue to play, and that gives you an opportunity to come back.
Well, and Brendan, you've done an awful lot of professional basketball, and there you see a team get ahead and the other guys still keep coming back. I don't think the college players have learned how to live with a lead yet. Not being used to that fact that the clock works against you when you have that lead because you've got to put the ball up. Syracuse looking much better in the man-to-man than they were in that zone.
Addison gives it up, and the Pearl comes through. And so showing some flashes of what we have come to expect from him, a total of 12 points.
I thought Syracuse would have been smart to go to the man-to-man a lot sooner in that first half than they did. An extra move by Payne got him in trouble.
So a burst here by the Orangemen late in the first half. Losing it, it'll go over.
Good job by Milt Wagner. He got a piece. Surprised if Louisville doesn't spread it out a little bit and try to work some clock. They had 29 seconds there to get the last shot here.
They're leading by 13.
Go for the last shot. And there's a freshman making a mistake. Chris can't come back to get the ball. He cannot do that. And there was a case where Payne was a freshman. He got the clock down to about 10 or 12 when he took that jump shot. You want to get the last shot, make sure Syracuse doesn't get another opportunity. Get that ball in Milt Wagner's hands.
Pearl almost stealing it. And Milt Wagner is human after all. Missing at the buzzer, but the score at the half is Louisville 43, Syracuse 30. Now coming up at the half, we're going to take a look at that 45-second shot clock. Mandatory in the NCAA play all the way this year. And as North Carolina and Marquette square off to do battle tomorrow, we'll stroll down memory lane and look at their last meeting, the 1977 NCAA championship game. CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
These guys came in here, wanted to buy us out.
We wrecked the place like the rest of the block. This bar's been in our family for 70 years, so we said, go ahead, build your building. But build it around us.
There's still a place where some things are not for sale, where beer is beer and the brand is Miller. Miller contains no additives or preservatives. Purity you can see, quality you can taste.
He tells us it's a couple.
The 1985-86 season has seen the advent of the 45-second shot clock, and no one has benefited more than the North Carolina Tar Heels, who maintain a 20-point scoring margin over their opponents, and in some cases have perplexed Dean Smith.
We played three teams that I felt there was no chance for them to win this year, where we played them without a clock. They could have held the ball. We'd had to take our big guys out of the game to chase their little guys, and they would have had a chance.
Smith is one of the game's greatest innovators, and his famed four-corner delay game was crucial in winning the NCAA crown of 1982. Jim Valvano followed suit the very next year.
We had a lead by 1, 17 minutes to play. Spread the court. Make them come get us, right? Let's try not to lose this sucker.
The Citadel led North Carolina 2-0 in a game previously played this year, and they considered a slow-down game. No chance this year. They lost to Carolina by 53.
In years past, even when North Carolina did have large leads, we still would wait 50 seconds, near a minute to take a shot, simply because that's how long it might take us to get a good shot.
Without even the remote possibility of knocking off a national power, why would any small program schedule a giant? Billy Tubbs offered this very interesting inside look.
We don't need to be playing the little teams. Let the little teams go find somebody they can play.
Last year, Villanova held the ball 9 times for over 45 seconds in the second half and winning the national title. But not everybody can play the delay game. As you can see right here, it's a tough offense to deploy. Petey Carell's Princeton club has been a master at the delay game, and Petey expresses his opinion.
There's the fans sitting up there, you say, what the heck are they trying to do, this team? And then all of a sudden, they're booing like crazy because you're not shooting every 6 seconds and say, hey, this is the only way this team has a chance to win. Then they start to respect a little bit what you're trying to do.
Even those who support the 45-second shot clock agree that a change in the rules might be needed to keep the game competitive.
When the clock was a 45-second clock and it was turned off the last 4 minutes, made the game so much more interesting.
I think we'll see a three-point play come in at the top of the key. And I think that will be a good adjustment. And it might make it fun for the players and be more competitive. And we want competitiveness in college basketball.
Billy, are you telling me that you don't like the shot clock now? I'm a big advocate of it.
Well, Brent, I do not like it from a standpoint of the overall college basketball. We have 270 teams in Division I basketball. About 30 of them are the power clubs. When they play each other like Duke Carolina today, it's a great basketball game. But how about those people under those 30 leading programs? They could be in for rough times in years to come.
Well, maybe the three-point play that Dean suggested is the way to go.
I think maybe that combination of the short three-point play and the clock may be the way to go. So there's more than one way to skin a cat.
You know, Billy, we've already got one champion here in Louisville. They're on the floor right now. It's their cheerleading team. And at the recent competition, they were voted #1 in the United States. And we will continue with our halftime activities from Freedom Hall in just a moment. First time they've met. 28th, the night of champions. Rocky won Best Picture, while a street fighter from New York won a national championship to cap a glorious career.
It would have been a shame for a great coach and a fellow who had Al's record and who had done for the program what Al had done, to have gone out under less than the best of circumstances.
I don't think it was one of our best teams at Marquette, but a team had a lot of guts, and they seemed to know how to win.
Late in the game, North Carolina and their famed four-corner offense.
For about at least 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes, they went without taking a shot.
They went into the four corners and someone drove to the basket. Bo Ellis made a dynamite block, and I think that was basically the turning point of that game.
The game was Marquette's from then on. Lee wound up the MVP. A team that worried about an invitation to the NCAA tournament had won it all. Al McGuire exited in style, as did his players, who had a style all their own. Remember those jerseys you didn't have to tuck in?
I think they typified not only the atmosphere in college at that time, but the atmosphere of the Marquette Warriors at that time. They were zany, they had a lot of enthusiasm, they had a lot of spirit, and I think the players played with, they reflected the uniforms quite well.
Well, since then, Carolina has won one championship, and the Tar Heels are stalking another. And today they beat Duke by 3 points, 95-92, and now they will travel to Milwaukee. We'll hook up with them there tomorrow, and Billy Packard.
This game in their new arena against Duke, a conference go. They're going to travel this evening. And Marquette has some size, Brett, and that's what you need when you play against North Carolina, some people that can bang inside.
All right, so that's tomorrow on CBS, Marquette against North Carolina. We'll continue the second half, Louisville and Syracuse in just a moment. The shooting here in the first hole. Louisville ripped away at 61 points. Milt Wagner with a total of 16. He was 7 of 8 from the field to lead the way. Now, points off turnovers, and I really think this relates to the point you made about that tough man-to-man defense that one of these teams is playing.
You know, Louisville played the good switching man-to-man defense. They turned the ball over often on Syracuse. Syracuse never really did get into their offense at all. On the other end of the court, Syracuse staying back in a very passive zone for most of the first half. They really made their turnaround when they went man-to-man and started to put some pressure on Louisville, but Louisville has done an excellent job in their man-to-man.
I want to update a story on Tito Horford, and it certainly relates to Denny Crum and the Louisville team. I understand that Horford this afternoon is watching down at Miami, and he has now said that there are 3 schools that he's interested in attending. Miami, Louisville, and Baylor, and someone should pass the word to Horford that it's down to 2. Denny Crum says no way is he interested in recruiting the controversial 7-foot center, so scratch Louisville.
Yeah,
Miami and Baylor are on the list.
Brent, the thing I don't understand is why would you scratch a guy? This is like the Odyssey, this story, and it ought to come to an end in terms of, the kid wanted to go to Houston. Obviously, I understand why the NCAA ruled in that regard, but why are other people turning him down? I don't understand it. Well, he's a qualified student. He's obviously a guy that can play the game. What has he done that nobody knows about that prevents him from going to other schools?
Well, that'll be interesting if that story ever comes out. We'll return to Freedom Hall after these messages from your
Louisville Cardinals is sponsored by to invite you to live the style, performance, and fun of Chevrolet in '86. McDonald's, it's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
Syracuse is down by 13, but not out of it. However, they need to get the big fella, Ronnie Cycli, more into the offense. He took only one shot in that first half in 13 minutes. He made that. He didn't get to the free throw line, and he didn't pull down a rebound. Now, how about the Pearl? Dwayne Washington, he was 5 of 11 from the field, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, turned the ball over 3 times. He is not credited with a single assist.
Well, obviously, they did not get in their offense at all in that first half. Going back with their regular starting lineup, let's see if Syracuse returns to that man-to-man, which started to get to be rather aggressive the last 5 minutes of that first half. They're going to have to make a move right here at the start of the second half. Brennan, again, pointing out that 45-second shot clock. You can't go and hide if you're Louisville. You've got to keep up that momentum. Purvis Ellison starting that second half. 3 fouls on him, and he hadn't been able to get untracked at all. So 2 of the power players we talked about at the start of the game, the 2 centers, really have been totally unproductive.
Purvis will start off the second half. Billy Thompson will inbound to Milt Wagner. Wagner with a hot hand in the first 20 minutes, so it'll be Wagner, Thompson, Ellison, Hall, and Herbert Crook, number 41 in the middle, going up against the Syracuse zone here to start the second half. Crook gets it to Hall, who'll bring it back out, and quickly they go to the trap. Much more aggressive here as we start the second half. Here is Billy Thompson, has it knocked free, and Washington fouled him.
I think it was Alexis they're going to charge that. Let's take a look at that. Let's see who they're going to call it on. No, you're right, Brent. They are going to call it on Pearl.
And that's the 3rd personal on Washington.
I'm really surprised that Syracuse came back in the zone. Louisville spread him out in that first half and went over him, around him, and now Pearl gets caught for the real cheap reach-in foul.
Thompson with 7 points and 1 rebound in the first half. Out of Camden, New Jersey.
You know, it's interesting, Billy played this year in the World University game. Had an outstanding final game against the Soviet Union, but our American team was beaten by the Soviet Union. He said Sabonis of the Soviet Union is the finest player that he's ever seen play in that level of competition.
And Trish rips one after Cycli is credited with his first rebound. And Louisville comes back against some Syracuse pressure.
Syracuse just trying to motivate.
Wagner spins it off to Thompson. Comes up, and it's an offensive foul called against Thompson. That's his 2nd personal.
Good job by Trish holding his ground inside defensively.
On the scoreboard, Michigan trying to come back after that 10-point loss to Minnesota, leading Iowa in the second half. And Miami, they've been surprising. Miami coming back, knocked away by Wagner, loose, run down by Trish and saved by Syracuse. Here's the Pearl, number 31. The point man for Jimmy Boeheim. Addison.
Again, nobody getting the ball into Cycli. He hadn't even touched it at one time in the game.
Here's Addison getting free at the left baseline. Fish coming back, and he is fouled by Herbert Crook.
3 big plays by Trish already in this half. Drew the charge, got the loose ball, then gets a good, strong offensive rebound.
Let's take a look at Cycli here, Billy.
Well, if you've got a fellow that you're counting on to do something on the inside, you've got to give him the ball some, and Ronnie Cycli just hasn't touched it. There's Trish with another great effort, putting the ball back up. And that's when you can tell the offense is somewhat out of sync, when you're just not getting the ball to your big man inside.
Cycli fouled out Wednesday night in Landover against Georgetown, and I'm wondering if he's not so conscious of that he's not being as aggressive as he had earlier in the year. Played a great game against Villanova. Of course, Villanova's that strong inside. Here comes Ellison.
Now, Louisville's a tough team to press because everybody on that floor can handle the ball pretty well, so they threw the ball right over the top of the press, and then Hall took it the rest of the way.
Addison misfiring, taken off by Crook. Hall gets it back to the middleman. A three-point chance by Herbert Crook.
Herbert Crook. What a job he's doing for Denny Crum. On the year, we're talking about a guy that a lot of people didn't even think would start. Here he just out-hustles Syracuse on the break. Going to put this up with his left hand. He's averaging 26 minutes a game this year, shooting almost 58%, 5.4 rebounds a game, 11.2 points. Not bad for a guy you're counting on as a role player.
And Alexis, with that second personal foul, sits down. Coach Boeheim speaking to him, and checking on into the game is Rodney Walker, number 42. 10 points and 3 rebounds, and making 11 for Herbert Crook.
Crook just out-hustled Syracuse on the play.
That's almost stolen by it is. Ellison had it, and here's Jeff Hall on the breakaway.
Time out, Syracuse. They've got to go back to man and start playing this game hard-nosed. I can't believe they're not going ahead and making some adjustments here, letting Louisville just go ahead and pile the lead back up again. They have a nice momentum at the end of the first half.
Ellison fronting Cycli. They can't get the ball to him. Walker finally goes to the glass.
You don't see an experienced team let the game get away from them as much as Syracuse had today.
Jeff Hall from the corner, and that lead increases, 53-36. And he drew the foul. He'll come to the free throw line for the first time.
On this steal, I wasn't so sure that Purvis Ellison wasn't out of bounds on this play, Brent. Let's take a look at it again. I don't know. What do you think, huh?
Well, watching it live, I thought he was out of bounds. However, looking at it, I really can't tell. Hall broke down the other side.
In any case, it was a great hustle play all the way around.
He showed a great athletic move.
Oh, yeah. We haven't seen Purvis Ellison today offensively because he's been saddled with foul problems. He never really did get going, but he is an outstanding talent.
From Thompson to the attack for Denny Crum. Stolen. Washington control. It was Cycli who jumped out. McCoy with an offensive foul call. That's 4 fouls on Washington.
Now, Billy Thompson made a mistake offensively when he went ahead and got himself right over the half-court area and had to make the bad pass. But here he hustled back, got himself in position, and Pearl tried to go through him. Thompson waiting on him. And Pearl's going to sit.
Monroe checks in. So at the 17-minute mark, Washington sits down with 4 personal fouls against the Syracuse pressure. 2 passes, and Sir Louisville is met and fouled by Cycli. That's his second personal.
Well, Ronnie Cycli and Ellison both did what they had to do on the play. Let the chips fall where they may. Again, Louisville going right over the top of the press. Good job by Jeff Hall to drive hard to the basket and then give it up. Ellison goes for the dunk. Cycli's right there waiting on him. I thought that was a no call. I thought it was a pretty good defensive play.
In foul trouble most of the first half. That's why his numbers are not indicative of how he's played.
You know, the slight injury to Ellison maybe has thrown him off stride a little bit. Don't want to make any excuses for him because he won't need many in his career. He's a cool customer for a freshman.
A tell you one thing that this game has to do. It has to make you very impressed with that Memphis State bunch. They beat Louisville over in Memphis. Addison spinning on the move, and he pushed off.
You notice, Brent, Syracuse totally out of their offense now. Everybody trying to go one-on-one. They really had this game in a position where they could have made a nice run there at the start of the second half, and they just haven't gotten it done. And attribute Louisville, perfect game plan, excellent execution, and some real fine talent out there.
Thompson waits for the cutter, and he overled Wagner out of bounds.
Even though the play didn't work, it was a very good idea. Again, you notice how the press just seems to take Syracuse out of their offense enough, then they drop back into man-to-man. Again,
this was sealed up, got it back. Rejected by Ellison. Here's Ellison at the other end. Monroe rebounded.
That's normally his shot. Nobody back. Nobody back.
And
3-0.
Cook loses it. Paul is there, and Cook traveled.
That's hard to believe. The floor balance for Syracuse that time had nobody back on defense. 3 Louisville players had crossed half court. Nobody from Syracuse near him.
Timeout in Louisville. Denny Crum and the Cardinals are in command. We'll be right back. All right, season premiere of CBS Sports Sunday. You'll see that all-Madden team in the World Triathlon Championships. The all-Madden team. Think we'll see a few bears on that bunch, Billy? Probably about a dozen.
In more ways than one.
Exactly. All right, let's take a look at that break again.
Well, here's what I was talking about. Defensive floor balance. 5 players from Syracuse inside the paint. The problem for them is the ball's going in the other direction. Louisville had 3 players down in that half of the court. Cook wasn't able to handle the ball. He might have been so excited that they had 3 against 0 on the play.
In case you just joined us, give you an idea of how dominant Louisville has been. The Pearl, Washington, is seated on the Syracuse bench with 4-5. Raphael Addison is playing, but he has scored only 6 points here against Louisville. Alexis on the turnaround. Nice shot by Wendell Alexis.
Well, Brent, remember at the start of the show, we talked about how about those 4 Louisville losses, and we talked about the quality of their opponents all on the road. For Syracuse, this is only the second time they've had to go out against a major opponent. And obviously, this is going to be a good experience for them.
It's much friendlier with 32,000 on hand in the character show. Alexis. Cook is off, and here's Wagner.
He'll pull up for the jumper.
Gave it off to Thompson as he came through, however. There was a foul.
Good hustle by Louisville. Again, there's Pearl Washington sitting on the sidelines. And I don't think he's sitting there just because of foul trouble, Brent. I think Jimmy Boeheim is using this as one of those lessons.
Well, Ronnie Cycli now sits down next to Coach Boeheim. That personal was on Addison as Paul hits the net again for Louisville.
And Denny Crum throws the fist up to the crowd again. Perfect execution by Louisville. There's the pressure out front. Change their defense around a little.
Addison.
He can bury that jumper. Now Syracuse back to the man-to-man. I thought they'd start this way at the beginning of the second half where they had some mo going for them. Might be too late now.
Gets double team. Quickly, Ellison moves the ball to Thompson. Yanked out by Walker.
Been impressed with his play.
Addison open, should bury it, rattles out. It's Walker passed in by Walker. You picked up on it.
Yes, sir. He's having a good ball game. He came to play. Down to 14, and the man-to-man is causing some problems for Louisville.
Wagner spinning inside with the move, and Cook couldn't tap it back in. Walker was fouled by Ellison, I believe. That's his 4th personal.
Wales on white. 4-3 over the top.
Curtis Ellison on the inside picks up his 4th. Good battling on the inside. Now we talk about this freshman Walker from Baltimore. Taps it twice, keeps it alive, then goes down the other end of the court, draws a foul on Ellison.
Coach Plum is a small-time thoroughbred owner right now, and I wonder if he's got a horse that performs like his basketball players have this afternoon. If he does, he's got a derby entry out here. This has been some performance by this team.
Still a lot of time. See how well they can play with that lead.
Alexis.
You get a feeling the mode changed. As soon as Syracuse went man-to-man, it got it down to 12, and they're playing well.
And they've done it with Washington over there on the bench.
And cycling. See if Louisville can get in their man-to-man offense.
And it was tapped in by Syracuse.
That was Alexis that got a piece. Everything going right for Louisville. He's given a solid performance, has all year. Worked his way into that starting lineup, a local product from Syracuse. Didn't have a very illustrious high school career. The team hadn't won any state championships, but he's given a solid performance.
It'll go over to Syracuse. Hall lost it at the baseline. McSwain is now in the pivot as Washington watches from that Syracuse bench. So both starting centers are out. Monroe misfiring. Loose. Syracuse diving for it. Alexis comes up with it. Doesn't get the roll. And Monroe runs it down. But this gives you an idea of how hard the Orangemen are playing right now. And it's going to be a foul called. And
now, Jimmy Boeheim should be quiet here, Brent. He doesn't need a technical. His team's still within move. You know, you're down 12. That was Walker throwing a forearm shiver in there.
His third.
Walker's playing hard out there. He did try to set a solid screen, but used his elbows a little bit too strong.
Expiring on the free throw.
Big basket right here for Syracuse. A chance to pull it down to 10, and still a lot of time to go. Wrong position inside.
Wagner. Knocked away from Thompson and out of bounds.
You have to like the fight in Syracuse. Here comes Pearl back in the ball game.
Monroe sits down.
And they go back to the zone. It was an out-of-bounds situation. That might have been the only reason.
The alley-oop not working.
Second time today that Bill Wagner's thrown the alley-oop and it really wasn't there.
This Walker. It's a 10-point game with 11:37 to go. Syracuse slowly climbing back in here in the second half. They trailed by 13 at the intermission. They were down by 20 in the first half.
And Syracuse was in that zone just in the out-of-bounds situation. They play so much better when they get aggressive man-to-man today.
Walker all over McSwain, who comes free. But Walker fouled him. This Walker tapping the official a little bit over there. What's he saying? Nice call.
Well, no question if that was a foul. He was right up on McSwain. Normally, he probably can overpower a player at that position, but McSwain's very strong also. He's got the great hands and hard to take it away from him. You see the size of McSwain's hands. It's pretty hard to rip the ball out of his hand.
Has tied Michigan in the second half in that Big Ten battle in Iowa City. And UNLV leading Fullerton State. Jerry Tarkanian's team, perhaps the most solid ball club on the West Coast. We've got a timeout, and we'll be right back in a moment. Well, next week, Hoop, we'll be in Bloomington, Indiana, watching Bob Knight and the Hoosiers up against the Fighting Illini. I watched Illinois the other night against Wisconsin. They've got injury problems back there at guard. Altenberger lost for the year. He's gone redshirt. Now Weisinger's hurt. That's the first game of our doubleheader. Then in game 2, you will see either St. John's and Walter Berry against Pittsburgh, a much improved Pittsburgh team, I might add, or USC against Arkansas next Saturday here on CBS.
The one team that doesn't have a guard problem right now is Bobby Knight's Indiana Club. The way that Steve Alford has been playing, he has really been burning it up.
He's something, isn't he?
And how about that comment by Scott Skiles, who also burned it up for Michigan State, said if Bruce Douglas is the best guard in the Big Ten, then I'm the best guard on this earth. Huh? A little bit of bad blood, maybe?
Who said Douglas was the best guard in the Big Ten?
Well, he had been. He was the MVP 2 years ago in the Big Ten. And
that's a long time. That's history. Alexis is rejected and fouled by Thompson.
Billy Thompson was right there. Good inside ball movement by Syracuse. It's amazing to me that they got out of their offense. They're getting it inside now.
That's 4 personals, and the cousin of Lola Falana will sit down.
That's right. 3 players from that Camden High School team. Kevin Wall, of course, has not seen action today, but Milt Wagner and Billy Thompson and Kevin all played on the same club. Did not win the state championship with that team. That's strong, huh?
I want to know who played on that other team.
Well, nobody that's playing on national TV today, I can tell you that.
Or at least they haven't told us.
And you know, it's interesting, too. 10 minutes still to go in this ball game. Back down to 10 again. A long way to go.
Got Wagner out there with Hall, McSwain, Crook, and Kimbrough for Louisville.
You know, normally when you have a zone team, you can't play man-to-man.
Kimbrough on the turnaround. Doesn't get the bounce. And Syracuse can pull to within 8 on this trip.
Syracuse showing they can go out and get somebody man-to-man. Addison, Alexis, and there's Walker again.
And he is fouled. McSwain fouled him.
You notice how easily Syracuse is getting the ball inside to Walker, and they couldn't get it inside to Cycling.
Well, Walker is seeking the ball. That's one difference.
Good point. Seeking what looks like a right eye right now. He got poked. He is getting good position. Powerful young man. You can see Crook had all ball there, but from the other side, McQuain hit him with the body pretty strong. City of Baltimore putting out so many outstanding high school players to play. You know, you never heard of Baltimore as a high school basketball capital 15 years ago. Everything was D.C. But since that time, they have put out more than their share.
It's a 9-point lead. Louisville at one time up by 20.
Addison getting right out there. Alexis getting out there. Really overplaying.
Crook tracked it down.
Now what we have is Syracuse is taking Louisville out of their offense. Benny Crum up off his feet trying to get some semblance of offensive balance.
Great move by Wagner and an equally strong move by Walker.
And a charge by Wagner after the block. Trish again. You start looking for an MVP, Trish will not show up much in the stats today, but he's the guy that's giving him that solid performance. And there's the block by Walker, and after the block, Wagner fouls Trish.
This is such a big 10 minutes for this Syracuse basketball team. You come on the road and fall down by 20 and look woeful and dig in and come back here. And I mean, you walk out of here on the clouds.
You better believe it. I think that they've gained some semblance of order again in their program. for this year in just making this comeback, Fred. They did not roll over and just play dead and say it's a bad day and go home. So from that standpoint, they have to feel fairly good regardless of the outcome.
They missed a couple of free throws that will hurt down the stretch. Wagner. In the first half, everything was going in, but not in the second half for Milt.
Well, that was Paul Watson made a mistake defensively. Wagner was going right at it. Paul let him go.
Addison has it stripped. Kimbrough, the freshman. Here's Wagner, hauls on the other wing. He hits the middleman. Ellison, no basket. No basket.
Oh, what a call. Big call there. Now, you've got a 3-on-1 break. You're supposed to score. Here comes Purvis Ellison in. Boy, that was a good play. There was no walking on that play.
Addison outside. And now it's 60-53. That was a big moment in the game, too, calling traveling down there on that play. 9 minutes to go.
And Jimmy Boeheim pulling his man-to-man out even further. Really disrupted the offense for Louisville.
Addison all over Wagner. They give it to Cook coming through, and they lose it, but Wagner regains. Cole hits the field goal as he tumbles to the floor. 18 points for Wagner. Washington to the attack for Syracuse. Ellison rebounding.
Paul wanted to take it on in there and pulled up for the jumper. I was surprised he didn't go to the hoop, but with 4 fouls, he's got to watch the charge.
Here's Crook.
Push off.
Walker rebounds. No whistle. Addison swings away from Kimbrough. Trish taps it in. No one sealed him off. It is 62-55.
Louisville looks tired right now, Brent. They may need a timeout just to regroup to get their breath back. The pressure put on by Syracuse has been really something.
Deep to Kimbrough, and Alexis fouled him. His third personal foul.
When you get tired, you start reaching on the fouls, and both of these clubs have to be tired. Again, when you have tall guards, like in the case of Kimbrough, you throw right on over the defense. Kimbrough able to catch that ball. Wagner and Crook. No guys down there in the 5'11", 6'1" range for Louisville, so all their guys in the backcourt can go over the defense. Kimbrough, one of the most sought-after high school players in the country last year.
Now we've got the timeout. And we will continue.
Sponsored by your Blue Cross and Blue Shield plan, who remind you to carry the caring card. Good news and good news pivot razors from Gillette, the essence of shaving. And by Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one.
What do you do in Louisville on a Friday night? Well, you go to a high school basketball game, which is what I did last night, to watch number 3, Rex Chapman, out of Owensboro Apollo, a guard who stands 6'5", who's going to go to the University of Kentucky. It was not a disappointing evening. He scored a career-high 45 points. He was 17 of 23 from the floor, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Billy, I think Eddie Sutton's going to like young Mr. Chapman.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate the write-up in the paper about him this morning when the opposing coach said he wasn't a good player. He said he didn't play a good game. Had bad shot selection. I didn't see him taking any bad shots.
I really enjoyed that game, didn't he?
He's a real prospect. Got to put his total game together, but he should be a good one at Kentucky.
Frisch just hit another field goal. There's some good ones out here for Syracuse right now. They have come back on Louisville. They were down by 20 points in the first half. Played a much stronger floor game. Kimbrough's open underneath on the turnaround.
Good luck by Milt Wagner. Sometimes you make this kind of run defensively and you don't have anything left. We'll see if Syracuse with time to go. There's no need to kind of force the action here.
Just missed the shot.
This game may be the game of who survives at the end. Good overplay by Addison. Keeping that ball away from Wagner now.
Wagner got inside after Addison gambled.
Addison just took his eye off Wagner for a second to locate the ball, and that's what cost him. Timeout. So you've got to keep your eye on your man and the ball. You can see where Addison's going to turn his head. He loses sight of Milt Wagner. When it comes time for him to go back and get there, he can't get to the spot in time. Then Wagner just takes him on a back cut, puts up the jump shot. Addison has been playing such tough defense, and that time he just lost sight of his man.
Washington to Trish.
How about this? Louisville going zone. They don't do that often.
Cycling back in. He was fouled. Crook will be assessed that personal foul.
Denny Crum changing things up a little bit on that timeout, going to his zone, trying to throw Syracuse off sync. Good job by Syracuse to recognize.
Keep it out of the middle. Keep it out of the middle.
And Denny's hollering to his team, keep the ball out of the middle. You want to make Syracuse put up something from the perimeter.
There was also a warning in there at the end, Billy, to watch out for the lob as they come back down the next time.
Maybe he's trying that John Thompson trick. Remember the other scream lob, so the other team thought they knew what was coming, huh? Slightly long.
Wagner.
Well, Milt Wagner's had an All-American type performance today, and with all these pro scouts here, they've got to be liking what they see.
Hall breaks free down the middle, wanted Kimbrough. Kimbrough's got it finally at the baseline. Addison this afternoon is 5 of 13, and Washington is 5 of 12.
In a force Kroll, it takes an outside jumper, but he hits one.
6 of 13.
Well, Denny Crum said, I don't know if he can make that shot, I'm sure. And Kroll put it up. Pretty good strategy on Louisville's part. They want to get it down in that corner.
Louisville brings it out on Trish. Here's Hall, and Cook is open. Cycling rebounding. They can pull to within 8.
They're going to give Kroll the jump shot at the top of the key.
Addison this time from the side, missing. Trish saves it. Alexis, missing. Taken away from Cycling by Ellison.
Big misses on the kind of shot you'd want to take.
Back to Hall, and Alexis fouled him. That's his 4th personal foul.
Excellent backdoor move. Here comes Hall breaking on through. Alexis comes on over and gets a little bit with the body. He had the ball, but he got some with the body.
Very interesting substitution by Boeheim right now. Washington sits down with 4:40 to go and down by 10 points.
Well, Jimmy Boeheim might feel that if he can get him down there for a minute or so, hanging his ball game, they can bring him back fresh. Same way with Trish. Trish has worked so hard to bring this team all the way back.
Well, you saw a shot of Monroe. He's got the ball. That's who has replaced Washington.
Louisville stays in that zone with Ellison right in the middle.
Addison. Here's Monroe. Back to Addison.
Good job by Billy Thompson coming out to take that shot away from Monroe.
And they didn't get the ball inside yet either.
What's tough here now?
Now they get it to Cycling on the turnaround, and he's got the field goal.
But Louisville made Syracuse use some of the clock to get that shot off.
Washington to return after that rest on the sideline and a quick talk with the assistant coaches.
With a clear out for walk to Wagner. Good defense by Alexis.
The ball glides inside and it comes on out the other end. Smart play.
Down to 8 seconds. You need a clear out here.
Off Ellison's hands. It bounces back to him. Oh, Thompson with a big rebound for them. Shot wouldn't fall. Loose.
This is a tough call.
Now the officials are not sure. They're looking at each other.
Nobody saw it.
They're coming over to the third man now. And he rules that it's going to go to Louisville. They consulted the third official on the far side. Had they said jump ball, it would have gone to Syracuse. The arrow was pointed in their direction.
He had a 50-50 chance of that one, Brent.
With the old Corey Wagner.
That was the clear out on the other side. Wagner able to take Addison on the sideline. Good call by Denny Crum. Fine coach.
3 minutes and 13 seconds to play. 71-61 here this afternoon. And Michigan up by 5 over Iowa in Iowa City. And UNLV leading Fullerton State by 8. Oklahoma still rolling in the second half, 79-61.
What'd you think about Billy Tubbs? Said, hey, if those little teams can't find people to play, go play themselves. I don't know. That was a strong comment. He's kind of like that coach from the Chicago Bears.
Easy to say that when you're unbeaten.
Well, yeah, I really can't agree with Billy on that statement, but I admire any guy that speaks his mind. Again, the zone is taking some time off the clock. Got to get it up.
And was taken out of bounds on the turnover by Addison. He rose up and lost it.
Yep, just slipped right out of his hand. Now the clock really becomes the opponent of Syracuse. And if you're Louisville, you don't want to get the ball down the corner. It's just trying to keep it out in the front.
Wagner saved it. Rejected beautifully. Washington to the attack. Pulls it up.
I'm surprised that Louisville is not hanging on to the ball anymore. Denny Crum's got both hands up. He wants his team to spread things out a little bit. Use some of the clock. Purvis Ellison is an excellent passer. Doesn't throw that one very well.
Alexis knocked it away. The lead pass to Addison. Well, they're down by 10, and they've got 2:13 to work with. They've not much margin of error now. Wagner comes in on Cycli, and the foul is called on the block. As Monty Cycli was moving, his third personal. Look at that, Miami. In overtime, tied up with Arizona. What a sensational debut there.
Some story. Bill Foster doing the job. He's played competitive basketball. He's getting his first team out of the ground there. What's it been, 16 years or so for Miami?
Well, Wagner is at the line, 22 points, 9 of 12 field goals, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I'm sure Jim Boeheim would agree with us. Milt Wagner has been the most valuable Louisville Cardinal here this afternoon.
Well, we said at the top of the show, Brent, that it will take like an all-American performance from fellas that are capable of it, and certainly he is and has been. I'm sure Denny Crum was, beginning of the year, people said, well, gee, Milt's not shooting well at all. He said, it's just a matter of time. And then he has a lot of confidence in his ball players and let them come around.
Cycli trying to jam, and he's fouled. Thompson there on the other side.
Good way to get your hand broken. Ronnie Cycli does a good job catching his ball inside. Realizes you can't block this one, and Billy Thompson goes right up there with him.
Thompson fouls out.
solid performance.
8 points and 4 rebounds, but he's a steadying influence on this team.
I think the story about Billy Thompson, he was considered maybe the top high school player in the country. Everybody expected him to be a 30-point type scorer. He's kind of a role player that has great talent.
Tell you why he's not a 30-point scorer, Billy. He's not as quick as some of the players I see. That first step that those sensational shooters like Kenny Walker at Kentucky have, just a touch quicker than Billy. So you have to become more of a role player if you can't run with those fellas. I like this young Kimbrough. Turn it over is Cook. Push outside. Cycling.
You have to say Ware was running Cycling the first half of this ball game. Just as in the Georgetown case, he played a great first half, disappeared in the second. Almost half the foul, but you don't want to foul this man. Get it back out.
Kimbrough is fouled by Trish. Might as well take a shot at the freshman.
Jim Boeheim again using this as a teaching lesson.
Last year, Boeheim and Syracuse lost 2 in a row twice. But St. John's was the team that handled them, that second defeat in both instances.
Well, Jim Boeheim went with Roy Danforth to the Final Four, and these two teams met in a consolation game that year with Louisville coming away the winner. The Rudy Hackett era at Syracuse University. Roy Danforth then went down to Tulane, and right now is looking to get back into basketball. I'd like to see him have an opportunity.
Louisville should win this one. They're much too smart of a team to throw away a 10-point lead with 1:19 to go, but let's see what happens. Alexis makes it 8.
You know, I think that was a point well taken, Brennan, the fact that when they were down 20, there was still that possibility with the talent of Syracuse had to think they might make the run. It's a big win for Louisville today. Makes those 4 losses not quite so important when you consider the competition they've been playing against. And sure puts them in great shape in the Metro Conference. They have played against outstanding teams in tough environments.
First foul call. And Denny Crum is developing some depth with this Louisville team.
You know, and he has this kind of performance today from his team without getting a big game from Purvis Ellison. He's got a lot of firepower. You talk about the outstanding coaches in the country, and you've got to put him in the breath with all of them. He's been to that Final Four now so many times. He's up there about 6th or 7th in winning percentage.
You know, I think he'd be a good candidate, at least one of them, for the Olympic coach. What about you, Billy?
I would have to agree. He has proven he can win on the collegiate level. He did an excellent job winning the gold medal for the World University Games, and he was given that opportunity. Does a great job of handling people. Obviously knows how to coach.
Not a bad recruiter either.
He can do that. and a judge of talent.
So a standing ovation for the Cardinals in Louisville.
Denny's been to that Final Four 5 times. Won in 1980, of course. Been in postseason play every year. Louisville fans appreciate their ball club here. You know, in international competition, it's funny. During that World University Games, there's a story about Gerald Griffith, the great leaper, who went over the top of the Soviet player and they asked Crum, what makes him jump so high? And then he said it was God-given talent. The next day, they said Crum refuses to reveal the answer.
Dive running down here at Freedom Hall the last 25 seconds. There's a football coach in this town who would like to have the same success as Denny Crum, and that's the man we had breakfast with, Howard Schellenberger.
And he's got a tough job to put, obviously, Louisville football in the same plane as this Louisville basketball program.
So they clear the bench, and another ovation.
That's Herb Truck, who did an excellent job, particularly early in the ball game when Louisville picked up that strong lead. Well, we've got the Metro Conference. A big upset today with Cincinnati beating Virginia Tech. But Virginia Tech with Del Curry, who's off to a super start. Memphis State and Louisville, you've got some clubs that are going to make a run in this NCAA tournament.
Addison. So we've got Robbie Valentine. I see him out there. Kenny Payne. Will Olavies. Jeff Hall. Jeff Hall will leave now. And Chris West comes in.
You know, I thought Louisville would have to go to Chris West early to put the stop on Pearl Washington. Here he gets in with 8 seconds to go in the game. That's a little bit I know about this sport.
Addison fouling Payne in the backcourt with 2 seconds remaining on that clock. And we can remind everybody that tomorrow we'll be up with Dean Smith and the North Carolina Tar Heels up against Marquette.
Jim Boeheim just thinking. His team has work to do yet. Let's look at this shooting technique of Payne. Missed that last one. He doesn't miss many.
One of those high school games last night, we saw a 7'2" center.
Coming to Louisville next year, Felton Spencer.
Syracuse found out what it was like on the road. They won their first 13. Then they were beaten Wednesday night by Georgetown. And here this afternoon, Louisville at 10-point winner. I'm Brent Musburger saying so long. Be sure to join us tomorrow.